What's up, y'all? Mob Tales, Big Jimmy's back, and we back at it. This is what we do. We speak on facts, we speak on experiences, and we bring light to the bullshit. Bull light, we in the building. Big Jimmy, how you doing, sir? They seen you
I'm
on the
doing
panel.
good, buddy. I'm doing good. Another episode. Here we go. Get ready.
So you're not in New York right now, huh?
I am in Florida right now.
Oh wow,
I'm in Naples, Florida.
that's crazy. So, in the other episodes, one of the episodes that was probably the most viewed, we spoke on Gotti briefly and we spoke on certain things with the Gambino family. You in Staten Island, you've been in the midst of the action. You've been dealing with these people through construction, through all your jobs, through all your restaurants you built all around the city. So you have a right to speak on these things and you got some experience that people want to hear. So basically, really, I was curious, like when Gotti got locked up, you know what I mean? I know he wasn't like the guy with the construction, his underboss, Sammy was, but was there a big change with how you was doing business as far as construction when he went away and stuff like that? Like,
Oh,
let's get
yeah, of course. Of course. Well, you got to remember something. Once somebody gets their hooks in you, it could work by them giving you money, you know. If they said, hey, you're having a problem, we can help you, and that's what they do. They sucker you in. They always did that with me, but I never accepted it. I never needed money from them. I never needed their help. Hey, Jim, if you ever need any help, we can help you. And then, oh, it's okay when I helped you. And now all of a sudden, this is how they put their hooks in you, sort of say. And Sammy the Bull was a very, very, well, he still is alive. He was very, very smart in doing that. But he was doing major construction, buildings, high rises, windows. He was running the framers and the sheetrockers and the electricians. He really had his hooks in everybody, and he was making the money. Of course, there's his workers or his people that he works with still hold on to that today. But when Gotti got arrested, it was because of Sammy the Bull. And honestly, I think Gotti would have got away with it if they never taped him. But he likes to shoot his mouth off, which they're all idiots. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if his son hears this or this one hears this. It's the truth. They all they're in their own little world and they can kill people or murder people because they're pissed off if somebody doesn't give them something. I was put right into the mix of these, how would you say, pieces of garbage, because that's exactly what they are. They're pieces of garbage. I would never infiltrate or try to take over anybody and decimate their life just for their gain. And the movie Goodfellas showed that in the restaurant business, because that's exactly what went down. They're not telling fibs; they're telling the truth. You were lucky to get a nickname, and if you got a nickname, then you were, you're one of their brothers. But yeah, when Gotti got arrested and Sammy the Bull got arrested, of course it all collapsed, and that's the time that I could never have the opportunity to get those jobs because they were all controlled and taken over. When I was building a 40,000 square foot building, I met every Tom, Dick, and Harry jerk off mobster trying to infiltrate me and get me to give them money. Or, Ray Alvarez, who was one of them, literally came up to me and like threaten you and trying to play a game, and they have a guy talk to you, and then they'll say, well, you might get over on me, but you're not going to get over on him, and then move out of the way, and this guy comes in. And this is a ruthless murderer. This is a guy that's a murderer. I'm talking to him on Clifton Avenue and Shore Road on Staten Island, building a building for the ICP Corporation. And he's trying to take control of the roof and the job and make money. They all were. They're, oh, you're making millions. Another guy, Mario, came up to me, another piece of garbage, just recklessly trying to take money from me. Are they still doing that? Of course. If they can get a weak enough idiot For instance, on the proof of that is Ray Alvarez came back on the job with a bunch of guys, and he started taunting me about paying the guy. And I said, look, the engineer has to approve the job before the company releases the money to me to pay everybody. So unfortunately, I think it's done right, like a wise guy. And I'm talking about, they said, there's a big job we can all get in on. These guys came from Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island. I'm talking about 20, 30 of them. 20 or 30 of them. One actually said to me, is there any other work here? Could we grab anything else? I'm like, excuse me, what are you talking about? Is there anything else? What do you mean grab anything? I said, you got your hooks in this concrete guy that I hired. And if I knew that, I would have never hired him. But there needed to be a bolster and a bumper whenever you have a ramp for a tractor trailer to go down. The ramp has to be built at a certain height, so the door gate, when they open it up, the high-low can come in and take all the computers and equipment out. So we finished that, but he never put the bumper in. The water was just filling up the carriage from the overflow from the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And they all came down. They all came down because I didn't pay him. I told the guy, I can't pay you. The engineer failed the job. And I told you, you needed to have a like a rise of concrete so the water from the parking lot doesn't enter the ramp. Well, they came down on me and I said, well, I think it looks pretty good to me. I said, Ray, it doesn't matter what you think. Oh, no? No, it doesn't. I said, because there's not a thing in the world. If you want, you can talk to those people. You can go right to the owner. I'll introduce. No, what do you mean? Well, you're giving me a hard time about getting money that you'll never receive until the engineer approves it. Now, you want to go and embarrass yourself. These people are hooked up with federal agents. Their cousins are Fed. My cousin and my family are involved with the feds. My family's all cops. You want to talk to them? What are you, threatening me? No, I'm making a promise to you, Ray. You have no say here. You have no way of getting any money, okay? And I'm not giving you any money out of my pocket. I am here to oversee and make sure the job is handled correctly.
So this is after Gotti was arrested?
This was before Gotti was arrested. No, this is after Gotti was arrested. Yes, I'm sorry. And so the shit still went on. If they can grab a guy, they thought they had their hooks in me. They never had their hooks in me. I actually told them, you ain't disrespecting me, because I would go to war with them. I would, but I ain't going to hide. I'm going to run them over in my truck in broad daylight. I don't give a shit. I'll be more than happy to go in court and say that piece of shit was threatening me and trying to get money out of me, because that's what he was doing. So the concrete guy goes like this, Ray, he's right. I didn't put it in. Well, why didn't you put it in? We want to get paid here. Could you imagine this poor guy? So I grabbed him over to the side, the concrete guy, and I said, hey, look, if I knew for 1 minute that you were involved with these people, I would have never hired you. And right now, I feel like suing me. I said, yeah, I can actually sue you for this. Reckless endangerment. There's a whole slew of things. Defamation, a ton of things. So he turns around. I said, you knew damn well you had to put a bumper there, and you let the concrete go even with the blacktop. And he goes, you're right. I should have realized it. I was trying to get done because these guys are hassling me. I said, okay.
These guys, meaning who? The Gambino family?
Yeah, all these mobsters. Yeah, all these mobsters. I mean, this guy's a concrete guy, never made no money because he has to give most of the money to them. That's how bad that his situation is. And I'll tell you another thing about another piece of crap. While I was building that building, robbed 8,000. What was it? He sold the copper I gave to a poor guy that was a scrapper. They took it away from him. Okay. And they say, you get that behind my back as I'm fighting this mobster, fighting that mobster, trying to get the building done. Who's infiltrating? I'm using money from my restaurant to pay for the building because it was even involved with Richmond County Savings Bank, holding back the funds to pay for the building.
Wow.
It was even, oh yeah, bro, I can tell you things that'll curl your hair. And I was laying out money because I knew what they were doing. And I was getting slack from the owners. And I said, you guys got to come up with money. I said, we're trying to build a $2 million building and you don't have money to put the building up. So the guy takes the copper. I owed him $17,000. I'll never forget this. I had a check all made out, ready to give it to him. But then all of a sudden, I run into the scrapper and I said, hey, how did you make out with the copper? He goes, Jimmy, John Van Alphen. Instead of being a concrete guy, he tries to go in and muscle on my work like he's running the job. And I'll tell you a story beyond this with Eppolito truckers who dug up the driveway.
Is that the dirty cop?
On the same job. Dug up the driveway. And I said, who the hell dug up the driveway? John Van Alphen said, oh, I had Nicky Ippolito come in. And I said, what? Who the fuck are you on my job to have somebody come in? I didn't tell you to do that. We weren't ready to do that. I have to do underground piping, you dumbass. I said we needed to put markers down. And he goes, well, I no, you didn't figure nothing. I said, get the fuck off my job. Well, this fat piece of shit, Nicky Ippolito, pulls up next to me. He goes, you know, I heard I'm not going to get paid. I asked him very simply. I said, listen to me, you fat piece of shit. What did you call me? I said, you heard what I said. Who the fuck are you? Did I hire you? No, John Van Alphen. Well, who gave John Van Alphen? I didn't tell you to go in there. I already had a guy hired and I paid him to do it. The guy was a gentleman and gave me the money back. And he said, Jimmy, I know these squirms. They're all scum. So Nicky goes, oh, we're going to have a sit down. I screamed at the top of my lungs. I said, Nicky, get out of your truck right now. Whoa. Don't fucking stutter and get nervous. Get out of your truck. I'm going to beat the living piss out of you. I am going to knock your teeth out of your mouth. I'm going to break your arms, your ribs, your legs, your feet. I'm going to snap your neck. I'm going to break the other side of your ribs because I'm not going to be done. I'm going to snap your nose off your face and rip your ears off and shove them up your fat, disgusting ass. That's exactly.
I'm sure he rushed out the truck after hearing that.
I said, you get the fuck out of here and don't ever show your disgusting, fat, ugly face again. I think the piece of shit puke is dead. I really don't care. But that's the truth. And this son of a bitch never saw him again after that because they knew, I'll get you in the job. Don't worry, dig it out. So Ippolito, John Van Alphen comes up. He says, hey, you owe me $17,000. Now I said, yeah, I'm going to be getting your check. I'm waiting for the engineer to finish his inspection on your work. He goes, I thought they did that already. Well, I wouldn't have told you that if they did, right? Okay. So all of a sudden, I run into the scrapper. And the scrapper says, I said, how did you make out? Of course, with the copper. I said, I hope you did good. Poor guy has a pickup truck and he has 6 kids and he lives in an area and he lives in a house that needs a new roof and windows and he has no money. So I said, this will help you out. And I was glad to help the poor guy. When he told me that John Van Alphen told me to get the fuck out of here, who the hell is this guy on my job? And I want to tell you about the laws of karma and why they play true. So I said, really? Is that what Ippolito said? Interesting. Okay, no problem. So all of a sudden, John called me up and he said, yeah, Jim, I never received the check. I said, well, the engineer failed you and I failed you. What? I said, No problem. You're not getting paid. I don't have to tell you anything. Do what you got to do. I'll see you in court. I had proof with 5 witnesses that he did that to the scrapper when I told the scrapper that. There was 5 people that were going to testify against John Van Alphen. So I wasn't worried about going to court. He robbed me. If he gave me back the $8,000, I'll give him the $17,000. I'm not going to accept. I want the money back that he took. Then I'll cut him a check. So all of a sudden, John Van Alphen's telling a story to what we call the dumbasses. So the guy goes, don't worry, John, I'll get your money. So the guy goes to Jamie the Ross. Not a bad guy. Actually, I got to tell you, Jamie had a lot of respect for me. I have a lot of respect for him. Not a bad guy. He was doing what he had to do. He wanted to try to make some change. Don't blame him. All right, do your thing. I'm not afraid to mention his name either because I don't give a shit anymore. I'm tired. I'm done with these animals. And the next person that says a word to me, I hope they have hospitalization because that's exactly where they're going. I'm not going to go down after studying in a dojo for almost 50 years of my life to go down to a puke like them or some kind of deranged bodyguard goofy head. So this goofy head tells John Van Alphen, goes to Jamie. Jamie says, go down there. I'm walking on the job. And this is the same job, mind you, that Ray Alvarez was doing that with the concrete. So I said, hey, Jamie would like to have a meeting with you. I said, really? I said, okay, I'll be more than happy. It happens to do with John Van Alphen. Then the big question mark went over my head, and I said, this is going to be exciting. Most guys piss their pants or shit themselves, little cowards that they are. That's why they get hooked in. That's why people put their hooks in them, because they're cowards. If they stood up to them, they wouldn't have no problem at all. Because the mobsters are cowards, especially when they're by themselves. So I go up to the pizzeria at the corner of Highland Boulevard and Bay Street. At the time, it was a pizzeria. I go in, walked up nice and calm. I see Jamie's guy. Hey, how you doing? Jamie, it's a pleasure to meet you. John Van Alphen, he put his head down because he saw I looked right through him with hatred and anger. He looked right through me. He looked down. He didn't even look at me, I mean. So I said to Jamie, I said, Jamie goes, we got a little situation here. Do we, Jamie? Really? I went, before we start this meeting, now, the first thing you do is like a judge or a lawyer. If you don't tell the truth, what does that get you?
You get charged.
You can't lie in court. You can't lie in their court either. So this is their court. I said to them, Jamie, sorry, what's your name? Okay, you guys don't mind if I ask John Van Alphen a question before we start, man? No, go right ahead. I looked at John Van Alphen and I said, John, I said, I'm going to tell you right now, I want a yes or no answer. I don't want your explanation. But if you don't give me the right answer, I'm going to jump up off of this table and I'm going to rip your nose off your face in 2 seconds. Jamie goes, oh, wow. No. Jamie, let me finish. I actually interrupted him because I was furious at that time. I said, John Van Alphen, remember that name. They're a big construction company. John Van Alphen is the biggest piece of garbage. He has a patch on his eye, and I'll explain that to you. He lost his eye. And this is why I say karma. When you recklessly do something to another human being, you rob, cheat, steal, try to harbor their life, try to destroy their life, karma will bite you. It's a proven fact. This happened a couple of years later. Of course, he lost his eye. So I said, John, if you do not give me the right answer, I will rip your nose off your face. Did you or did you not steal copper off of my job? And he went, well, I said, John, I said a yes or no answer, and I'm not kidding around. These 2 guys ain't going to help you in this situation because you're lying to me now. And he went, yes, I did. And he put his head down. I went, thank you very much, Jamie. It was a pleasure meeting you, because that ended and disrupted anything that those guys tried to do. John Van Alphen now had a problem because he didn't tell those guys the truth and that he took the copper off the job and he threatened the guy. And I wasn't giving Jamie or his sidekick or any of them an explanation. I wasn't. I don't have to. I don't have to explain nothing to you, pal.
Nope.
No disrespect again to Jamie or his family. He treated me with respect. I walked out, I shook his hand. They followed me out to the door and watched me walk out. And I heard him say, I like that guy. And I said to John Van Alphen before I walked out, I hope you're ready and prepared for what's about to happen to you. And exactly what I thought was going to happen to him happened. So in the interim of this, you had these small pockets of people or the leftovers, sort of say, trying to, and they were, I know a lot of pieces of garbage that came from another country and were building buildings and building houses. I lost a job on Toad Hill from a wise guy that got out of jail, knew nothing. Do you know what he actually said on the construction job? Yeah, don't worry about putting the outlets over there. And the electrician's telling him it's by code. Never paid the electrician, never finished wiring the house. The electrician wound up walking off the job, and he robbed these people for over $700,000.
So these guys that come from other countries, they don't have to deal with the pressure.
Oh, they're from Ireland. They're from Ireland, marrying a mobster's daughter. I'm going, hey, I'm going to get you in the construction business. And if that guy hears that, he kind of formally knows who I'm talking about. I don't have to mention their names because I sat down with the rootless puke who's now in jail for life. Good riddance to you. You deserve it. But yeah, through that carnage, John Van Alphen lost his eye. And when he sees me now, he'll see me in a store. He puts his head down. I won't even look at him. I won't even say anything to him.
Wow, that's crazy. You want to get into the Steven Seagal stuff? Or?
Wow. This is going to have to take 2 episodes because this is a story to be told.
We here for it.
In 2000, I knew Jules Nasso since 1987. He asked me for some advice on his house. But he happened to come into my restaurant with Heather Locklear. And that's when I met Danny Aiello. And Danny, we sat down and we're having dinner and we're eating and everybody, hey, this is on me, welcome. And Jules became a permanent fixture there. He was bringing people in. He was having his movie deals and stuff there. And so I became very close with Jules. Jules invited me to his house. We became such good friends. I started painting in his house for free. I didn't care. Money was not something to me that mattered. If a friend has money.
Portraits? Are you painting his actual walls or a couple portraits?
Oh, yeah. I painted his whole house. I did sculptures. I did carvings. We were doing some really intense stuff. And we became friends. I got into the movie business. I invested in One-Eyed King with Armand Asante, Billy Baldwin, who's a complete jerk.
So he got you in the movie business?
I got into the movie business with him because he saw that I was very talented. I was very structured to negotiate deals in the movie business. I closed the deal with Grupo Minerva, with Jules in the Cannes Film Festival, for $800,000 on a 3-movie deal purchase, which was, Grupo Minerva is a very, very big company. Lucas, his name, and complete gentleman. He backed out of a deal. And
you said you closed
Robert Glazer, who was sitting at the meeting, and 3 lawyers, Jules and Grupo Minerva. And Jules and David Glasser didn't know how to handle the situation because the underwriting broker would have destroyed his name. So I was like, hey, guys, put 2 and 2 together. This is very simple. So I said to Lucas, Lucas, if you back out of this deal, Horowitz is going to bite and chew your ass apart, and you will be worthless in this business and untrusted. I said, you have a good deal. You have The Devil and Daniel Webster. You have a couple of movies, One-Eyed King. You have The Prince of Central Park. You'll have 4 movie deals. There was another movie that was added. And I closed that deal. And Lucas goes around and says, hey, Jimmy's right. Jimmy's right. If Lou Horowitz would destroy me. Because he was the broker. You know, they have movie brokers that bond the movie, the bonds, you know. Mm-hmm. If they say you're working on a set and the guy backs out of it, takes the money, the bond company comes in, gets all new people, directors, you get paid, everybody gets settled. So Grupo Minerva shakes everybody's hand. He shakes my hand. He grabs me. He goes, Jimmy, you're right. David Glasser and the lawyers, after Lucas left, they said that's how business should be handled. Jimmy, you know, why isn't the negotiating done like that? And I outright told them all, I said, because you all lie, cheat, steal, and rob and play games instead of being straightforward and truthful and getting it done. So this is why things are delayed and it costs money. Like One-Eyed King, which I was one of the producers on that movie. I was an executive producer, which I actually was on the phone with Billy Baldwin, okay, getting in this, and Jules. And Billy Baldwin got on the phone and called Jules. And watch how I was handling all this mobster moron stuff. This will get into the story of Jules. So Billy Baldwin, I called him up. I said, hey, Bill, how you doing? He goes, yeah, you know, I'm not going to be on set until my friend gets his $50,000 contract. And I said, hey, Bill, you're being paid more money than more money than you've ever been paid on any one of your movies. He was being paid $450,000, which he is one of the worst actors I ever saw in my life. That's why you don't hear from him anymore. And I also have proof to back that up through the dailies that were given that he just was reckless and just made the mockery of the movie. So Billy, I said, well, Billy, look, if you don't go on set today, you're off the set. I'm bringing in Christian Slater. That was the backup actor. Christian wanted to do it. I thought Christian would have been much better because Christian Slater happens to be a good actor. Mm-hmm. And he goes, oh, no, you can't do that. I'm established already. And I said, I have a couple of friends that'll prove. I said, excuse me? What? I said, what are you talking about, Billy? So all of a sudden, he wound up doing the movie. And his friend 2 weeks later got his contract, who was just a horrible fill-in. I mean, he was not even an actor. It was just his buddy. Yeah, I'll get you in. Don't worry. I'll get you in. This is carnage, you know? So Jules, all of a sudden, I found out the dirty side of Jules. Now, the weasel I'm about to tell you, yeah, I'll mention your name, Danny Provenzano. That's right. You're a tool and a piece of garbage. This guy took a 72-year-old man's hands and slammed them on the trunk of his car because the poor guy didn't have the money to pay him. So, of course, I befriended Danny. Hello, Danny loved me. Jimmy, you're the best. You're this, you know. And Danny Aiello and me were watching his show he did in Hoboken on an off-Broadway play called December. He was really brilliant. Danny was he was remarkable. And all of a sudden, me and Danny are sitting next door, and Jules is here, and all of a sudden, coming sitting down is this guy, Danny Provenzano. And he's staring me down. I'm looking right back at him. I said, listen to me, you weasel. There's nobody here to help you. You ain't scaring me, and I ain't scared of you or your friends. So Danny Provenzano is not in the Gambino crime family, but he was trying to get his hooks in Steven Seagal. We're going to do movies together. We're going to do this together. Danny Provenzano and Jules was going after the situation because he did a couple of movies with Steven that flunked. The Patriot, which they filmed in Montana. He was getting threatened by the Montana militia, which I don't blame them.
Never heard of it.
Oh, bro, these stories go deep. So Steven Seagal comes into New York the day before we meet Danny Provenzano. He didn't even look at me. Didn't even look at me. And I looked at him, and Jules goes, "What do you think?" I said, "I think he's a total piece of shit." So we go, we're sitting there after Danny's playing, we're having something to eat and a couple of drinks, and Jules goes, "Excuse me, you don't mind if I talk to Danny?" I said, "Jules, I'm kind of appreciative that you're getting off the table and going to talk to Danny." So Danny looked at me, and I looked right back at him like, "I want to rip your head off, you piece of garbage." And Mr. Provenzano, if you hear that, that's the truth, because that's what you are, but you already know that, dirty garbage son of a bitch. So anyway, here we are. Danny Aiello goes, "Jimmy, what the hell is going on with Jules? Why did he sit us down?" Now, Danny's right. Danny's an actor. Whatever is paparazzi, if people are taking pictures, they would have applied that Danny Aiello was hooked up with the mob people, right? Mm-hmm. So me and Jules are driving back. Danny goes with his entourage, and he goes back home. And Danny had a nice guy with him that drove him around, and was his chaperone. So I'm driving back, and I'm driving, of course. And I said to Jules, "Jules, what are you doing?" "Oh no, Steven ain't leaving. He's staying right." I said, "Jules, you're a pharmacist. You're not a mobster. Why are you acting like a mobster?"
He had a lot of mob friends and people he moved
please,
with.
bro. It's deep, Mook. It's deep. And I can't disrespect, because anybody that's in Jules's family, beyond Jules, the entity himself, are absolutely the most amazing, brilliant, beautiful people. His ex-wife is a dentist. His brother, Frank, is the sweetest, most unbelievable gentleman I ever met in my life. He's a chiropractor. He helps people stop smoking. He invented this thing, a tap in the ear. Brilliant. Just a gentleman, soft-spoken. His wife is the most precious woman that you ever want to meet. I mean, she's just amazing. And Jules's mom, I don't know if she's still alive. She was 85 at the time, and this is 2003. I don't know if she's still alive, but what a beautiful woman. Mm-hmm. But talking about Jules, the little weasel, and they called him the midget because I think he's 5'2". So Jules said, "Jimmy, Steven is with me. Steven's not going anywhere." I said, "Wow, listen to this amazement." I said, "What am I getting myself involved with here?" So we're in my car, my beautiful 50th anniversary Corvette. And Jules said, "Jimmy, could you drop me off to Fazone, to Brioso Restaurant on New York Lane?" Mm-hmm. I said, "Jules, and Jim, I want you to come in with me, sit with me." I said, "I'm meeting Sonny Saccone." Sonny Saccone is a captain in the Gambino crime family. Well, was. He's in jail now. And he was sitting down with his guy Primo. And I pulled up to the restaurant. "Jimmy, park the car, come in with me." And I went, "Hey, Jules, I want to tell you something about me, buddy. I don't dance with the devil. Sorry." And I said, "Jules," and this is true story, if there was a God. I said, "Jules, if you go in there, this is going to bite you in the ass." Well, guess what? The feds were following Sonny Saccone, and they were taping him wherever he went. They had a tape recording in the restaurant. Jules goes in, says, "Jimmy, would you mind picking me up?" Now, he was using me, Jules. He'll pay for that. He already did. So I pick up Jules, and he goes, "Are you going to ask me how it went?" I said, "Jules, I really don't care how it went. It's none of my business." Now, mind you, I gave Jules a $210,000 check so he wouldn't get involved with One Eye King with Danny Aiello. That's how much money I had back then. And I cut him the check. I said, he goes, "Jimmy, I guarantee you $200,000. He gave me 50 grand and sent me on my way. I said, no
Wow.
problem, Jules. Yeah, no problem. Yo, you have no idea. That's why I talk about the ruthless little rotten piece of garbage that he is, because that's exactly what he is. He's disgusting.
He robbed you for 200K and
He
gave you
robbed
back
me
50.
for 160,000. So then somebody told him, Jimmy's not going to take that shit. You go in there and you have somebody threaten him, because I was bad mouthing him. And I don't give a fuck. But he was going to have some people talk to me. Let me tell you something. Those people would have never walked out of that restaurant. They came and talked to me. They would have never made it. And I would have went right after Jules. So in the interim of this, they call Steven Seagal. Now watch this. I was at Steven Seagal's house. Steven had a gun on me. And I went there because Jules was helping. I was helping Jules with the finances of Segal Nasso Productions, which was now out of business. So prior to this meeting and the arrest of Jules, I met with Steven, and Steven's going. I go, Steven. I'm at Steven Seagal's house in L.A. There was a fat ex-detective crawling through the woods, and I'm going, what the hell are you doing? I'm telling, look at this guy. I said, what's going on? Steven comes running out of his gate with his hand on his gun behind his back.
Wow. Are you
I said,
serious? Oh
I'm
my
fucking
God.
telling you the truth. Absolute truth.
That's
I said,
insane.
Steven, is that a gun? I said, Steven, I hate to tell you something. I came here. Jules doesn't even know I came. There's a situation. The $500,000 that was taken out with Kelly LeBrock. You took the money. I'm trying to tell you that the IRS and everything, they're going to come after you. And he put his head down. He goes, I know. And you know what I actually told Steve? I said, Steve, I agree with you. I think Jules is I think Jules is off the wall. So all of a sudden, Jules gets arrested. They call Steven Seagal. And I can vouch for this because you can look it up in Vanity Fair. It's on my website. And that Vanity Fair with Madonna on the cover, I'm in that cover. I'm
Yes, sir.
talking with the Vanity Fair writer, and he's telling an article about me painting. So poor Danny Aiello, the amazing man that he is, gets a reputation, and he's put in the lot of this. Why wasn't I? Steven Seagal tells the federal agents that Jimmy DeLuisio is a hitman for the Gambino crime family.
Are you serious?
All of a sudden, there's an indictment for me to get arrested the same time Jules was getting arrested. And all of a sudden, the head Fed goes, oh, whoa, wait a minute, guys. You're going on hearsay that Steven says this guy, Jimmy DeLuisio, is a mobster? All of a sudden, they look up my background. They look up my education. They knew where I went. Where I went to community college. They found out I got my GED because I was kicked out of my house when I was 17 years old. Actually going to be 17. And
what an ignorant, racist piece of shit to say, oh, this Italian guy, oh, let me throw this on him.
oh yeah,
he's
that bro.
For the Gambino crime family. He's a piece
Absolutely.
of shit.
Absolutely. So all of a sudden I get a knock on my door, my apartment, and it's two federal agents. Gentlemen, classy, nicest guys. They said, hey, Jim, you don't mind if we have a cup of coffee? We'd like to talk. He asked you some questions. They said, we're talking, and they said, Steven Seagal indicted you as a hitman for the Gambino crime family, and you came to see him. And I said, wow. I'm thinking about that now, and I went, wow. The one thing that I hate and can't stand and despise, I'm being accused of. And he goes, Jimmy, we looked you up. And there's not even a picture, an inkling, not even a phone call, not even a conversation from you. The only thing that we discovered is that if we had money, you would be the guy we would be calling to do work in our house. We couldn't believe your work. Next minute, they're talking about my website. What is this? And you made that, and this is what you do? And I mean, and the fucking Fed goes, how the fuck did you make this? What the fuck is this? So they didn't go through with the indictment because they knew I would sue the federal government, and that's a heavy lawsuit. And also, they asked me if you wanted to press criminal charges for false,
Yeah, exactly.
all this crap. And I said, no. I said, I don't want to. Stephen will be held to his fate. I said, isn't he already a loser actor? He told Terry Semel, this is what a piece of garbage Steven Seagal is, and Jules too, on the mob. Steven Seagal told Terry Semel, the head of Warner Brothers, eat shit and fucking die. That's how powerful Steven thought his movies and his acting was. Never did another movie with Warner Brothers ever again.
That explains his career.
Yep. So I'm in court. At that time, I was now away. I'm like, what's going on here? Jules was lying to me, wasn't telling me the truth. And I found out, because I'm not going to sit here. I'm not a person without intelligence. I said, something's wrong here. I'm going to figure it out. So there we are. I'm in court, and the Judge Block is telling me, well, Mr. DeLuise, what happened? He goes, well, I don't need to know that. I said, Judge, you asked me what happened. So what do you want me to tell you? You want me to tell you what didn't happen? This is what happened. This is Steven Seagal's behavior. We happen to be in Stephen Baldwin's restaurant in Manhattan, and I was sitting next to a Brazilian girl that Stephen was raping and screwing, and then wound up shipping her back to Brazil, the animal that he is.
Allegedly.
The girl hands me a note. I know I'm jumping, but I'm trying to bring in the intrigue of the mob and how these people worked. She hands me a note. Please help me. I'm in danger. I said, what? Steven comes up and he leans over the table from the other side. Is everything all right? I wasn't afraid of Steven. I'll fight your ass. I know what you're trying to do. Grab my wrist, you dumbass. I said, so he goes, is everything all right? And I said, Steven, why wouldn't anything be all right? I said, these two pieces of shit are pieces of shit. Now, at this point, we're going back and forth. We're in court. Court is over. They used me as a material witness. The prosecutor was kept repeating himself. Well, you went to Stephen C. House on Jules's behalf. I said, no, I'm handling the records of service that were done between Segal Nasso Productions, and there's a discrepancy of $500,000 that I went to talk to Steven Seagal about. Mm-hmm. And that's what, well, you were there, but I said, you keep repeating yourself and you're making yourself look like an idiot. The two lawyers, actually the lawyer that was not interrogating me because I was brought in as a material witness from him. I'm going, is that 2001 or is that 2003? Okay, was that 1998 or 1999? And he's like, I think it was, what you're talking about is 1999. In 1998, this happened. In 2001, this happened. And I was, the guy Levin, who was the lawyer for Jules's brother, and this is one reason why I hate Jules. I'm not hate him. I feel sorry for him. He's a little midget weasel. But Levin said, I wish I would have been able to cross-examine Jimmy. He was amazing. I not only knocked the prosecutor down, I knocked the judge down. The guy wrote a bad article about me in the Times saying that a barroom thug, a barroom bouncer, which at the time I was helping with Central Security. He was my cousin. Mm-hmm. So I'm helping the guy. Said, Jimmy, please, 3 guys left on him as 3 head guys. So I was actually running his whole operation.
But they called you the bouncer.
Yeah, they called me a bowling alley bouncer. So I didn't say nothing about the guy in the Times. I was like, screw you, what do you know? And that's not the truth anyway. He's probably retired and sitting in a chair with a colonoscopy bag or something.
I can't believe this stuff about Steven Seagal. It's amazing. And
how many women?
A part of the channel, James Hudson, he got a question. He's about I got a question actually from what he said. He said Steven Seagal did a movie with Pam Grier called Above the Law. It was lit. I like that movie too. Now, did you have anything to do with that movie, or?
No, I did not have anything to do with that movie. I had a lot to do with Exit Wounds.
Okay, with DMX.
But when Above the Law was made, me and Jules were not even like close friends. We just knew each other.
Okay. Yeah. So
And yes,
Stephen,
it happens to be a good movie because it was his first movie.
well, from what I'm hearing, I don't like this dude at all.
Well, he's a worm. You know how many women he paid off? 50,000, 150,000, 75,000 to keep quiet. Yeah, he literally raped a lot of women, man.
Allegedly.
No, not allegedly.
It is
No,
allegedly, unless he's charged.
no, it's not. No, we have the proof that he paid these people off to keep them quiet.
Well, we
That's a
got to say
fact.
allegedly to protect the channel. But
well, listen, we're protecting the channel, but you have to understand something. I'm giving you valuable knowledge and proof. He's already known as that, Mook. We're not saying anything that is not true or proven. You know, that it's just that he paid off a lot of women. The guy is a criminal in my eyes. You know, how he became a sheriff, I have no idea. But Steven is not a likable guy. Nobody likes. A lot of people don't like him. He was the worst host on Saturday Night Live, nasty, and he always thought he was above everybody else. It's ironic he did Above the Law. But yeah, he got away with murder. You know, he got away with a lot of things that he shouldn't have got away with.
So if me and
you did that, we'd be arrested. But then came the story of Jules Nasso with the mob. He goes in to the restaurant and talks to Sonny Saccone. Sonny Saccone gets arrested. Primo gets arrested. Jules gets arrested. 5 other people are arrested. If you saw the article in Vanity Fair, you saw all those people. Every one of them. I knew them, saw them, whatever. And there is Danny Aiello. Broke my heart. Danny called me the next day after the article came out. He goes, Jimmy, can you believe how the fuck is my picture up there with these? What did I do? I said, Danny, welcome to the club. I said, I know, my friend, and I'm very sorry about that. And a lot of people called me. Is that true about Danny? I said, absolutely not.
What were they saying about Danny Aiello? Because I met him too. Rest in peace. But.
Yeah, you met him. He came in to say that, you know, Tony is his cousin. You know, Tony Ray Rossi's his cousin, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, they're all, bro, these people were all my friends. I hung out with them for years. I loved and adored Danny. Danny was one of my best friends. And yeah, he came to see the movie. He goes, Jimmy, you're making this crazy movie? I said, yeah, Dan, I'm not doing it to become famous, Danny. I'm doing it for the art. I'm doing it for the movie sets, you know?
Yeah, but what did the article mean about Danny Aiello? What did that mean? What were they trying to say with the article having this picture?
Well, they put him in the mix of it. I really don't know to this day why. Me and Danny always asked. I said, Danny, I couldn't find out. I asked a lot of people.
He's a wise guy?
No, not at all. Danny's picture just got put into that because of his involvement with Jules Nasso. So they assumed, and a lot of times, you know, articles can be misconceived and that's why, you know, journalism is a fickle thing, you know. You could look at a story and we could all say, oh, look at Dan. Oh, there he is. Danny Aiello was definitely involved in that.
Super cool guy. My boy James Hudson, remember him?
He was the best, man.
Sorry, and Do the Right Thing. Danny Aiello killed that part, you know, and guess what, James? He's not like that. He's totally cool. He grabbed me, gave me a big hug. We talked. Like, he's not like that at all. He's mad cool.
No.
He played that character beautifully and Do the Right Thing. It was good. And to work and do that movie alone lets you know who the person is, because he's working under Spike Lee and he's working. So he just had to play a character, but he's nothing like that, man. He's a good guy. He's a rest in peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was, man, let me tell you, I think about going to Hoboken and two-day pasta and hanging out with him and having dinner. And I was with him in Utah. I was with him in France. I was with him in Italy. We slept in the same room. I went to Florida with him. I was with him in California. I was all over with that guy, man. You know, yeah, yeah. Danny paid a price because of his involvement with a real moron. But they knew that if they put me in any of that thing, I would have had major lawsuits. I would have had made millions of dollars. But that's how much money means to me. I let karma take its course. And what happens to me, if any good's going to happen to me, it'll happen when it's supposed to happen. It's not up to me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I can only keep trying, you know, Mook.
Yeah, for sure.
But Jules was a pharmacist playing wise guy, trying to be a mobster. Why? Look at him now. He got a year and a day. He's a criminal. He sold his very smart though. I can't say that he's not smart. He sold pharmaceuticals for the ships. He opened up a pharmaceutical company that sold to Caribbean cruises, celebrity cruises. I mean, you name it. He was selling millions of dollars. And he sold it to Drew Schaefer, who's a very prominent guy. He lives in California now, was living in New York. His mentor was Mario Cuomo. And Drew, again, is a very smart guy. But here's what Jules Nasso got me involved with. One of the shooters of Gus Faraci, I don't know if you remember that story. Gus Faraci was personally involved with some really bad people on Staten Island. He actually raped and killed a gay guy down at Wolf Pond Park.
Oh my God, are you serious?
So yeah, and but he got shot. One of his shooters was the brother of this guy that was involved with Manhattan Pictures, which I was a foreign buyer and an advisor.
Mm-hmm.
So when they were buying a movie, I don't know how it got getting involved with this guy, Stephen Brock's brother. I forget his name. That might not even be his name. That's how much I cared about the puke. But this guy was going out with the girl that was in Footloose, the first Footloose.
Mm-hmm.
I forget her name. She's very nice, very smart girl.
Well, the main girl?
Yeah, the main girl that was there dancing with Kevin Bacon. So Jules couldn't handle talking to this guy, and I found out that I was on the phone with one of the shooters at Gus Faraci. So he goes, "Hey, man, you know, I wanted to talk to Jules. I think it was about an investment or with his brother." And he goes, "Hey, you know, Jim, you sound like a really great guy. We should get together." And I went, "No, I don't think so. I don't get involved with people like you. People like me." I said, "Yeah, I know who you are. I also know what you did and you went to jail for." So, yeah, so this was the heavy involvement of Jules Nasso with the mob and Steven Seagal and their rite of passage to do and cause any carnage that they wanted. I started getting in a situation because after Jules got, you know, arrested, oh, your buddy, you know, oh, your pal, look at what happened. Oh, well, you weren't involved in that. Yeah, okay, Jim. And you like, yeah, you want to bite your tongue, you know, you bite your tongue and you want to cling your teeth together and slam somebody for saying slanderous things that just not true, you know. But Steven Seagal and Jules started separating because of Danny Provenzano. Danny Provenzano trying to put his hooks in Steven, and me telling Jules, why don't you move on? You know, get involved in real good drama actors and character actors and get good scripts and do the right thing, you know? Instead, oh, no. He ain't going to Hoboken. And of course, that's Danny Provenzano's territory. And I'm like, stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. You don't go here. You're there. This is my place. This is your place. Get the hell out of here, man. Mm-hmm. You know, Steven Seagal was running towards it, you know, and you're talking to a guy that's been to Steven's house, had conversations in the back. Mm-hmm. I saw Danny sitting in a monk's chair. His name is Rinpoche. Now, Rinpoche is an old Buddhist priest that passed away years ago. And he would bring these monks in from Tibet and all over, and they're sitting there, and they're kissing his hand, Rinpoche. They were bringing out his cake and throwing flowers down, and this one woman goes, move away from the sacred cake. And I said, you fucking touch me, I'll smash that cake in your face. And I said, fuck this, fucking what the hell's going on? Rinpoche, they're kissing his hand, the sacred cake.
You're a mean
I go out in the backyard, and it's beautiful. What a beautiful spread. Lived right in L.A., lived right in the lower part of Beverly Hills. Beautiful backyard pool, waterfall. He built a big diamond pyramid Buddha shrine with an elephant in the inside. Spent $3 million on it. Nut job. Wow. And he became Rinpoche. They took a carpet that they found on the street and said, this was the carpet Rinpoche laid on. So he actually preached on this carpet. They looked at him as a big priest, like, a deity. So I'm out in the back. I'm looking at the yard. I'm away from everybody. I'm having a beer. Steven Seagal comes out. And he comes out. He goes, hey, Jimmy, how you doing? I said, Steve, I'm doing okay. I go, what about you? He goes, oh, I said, Steven, Rinpoche? Rinpoche? You're dressed in a monk suit and they're kissing your hand and they're throwing flowers on the sacred cake? It was his birthday. I never saw nothing like this in my life.
He was just celebrating his birthday, though.
We went there for his birthday. He knew I was coming. Oh, bring Jimmy. This was all before he told the cops I was a hitman for the Gambino crime film because I wasn't siding with him. Yeah, I don't get it, man. Mook, I don't get it. I don't want to get it. I just thought it was the weirdest fucking thing I ever seen in my life.
Danny Aiello worked with Steven Seagal in movies because my boy James just put me on. They did Hudson Hawk. Did you have anything to do with that?
No.
Okay.
Steven Seagal didn't have anything to do with Hudson Hawk or Danny Aiello. Steven Seagal.
My boy said they're both in the movie Hudson Hawk. Danny Aiello with Steven Seagal with Bruce Willis. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No. I had nothing to do with Hudson Hawk. Neither did Jules Nasso. Hudson Hawk was done by a professional production company, and they had professional people. Nobody was around. Jules wasn't around, and I wasn't around. I did talk to Danny about Hudson Hawk. It was one of his least favorite movies that he did. I understand why, because he's a Broadway actor. Nobody realizes this. Danny Aiello, how Danny Aiello became famous is really interesting. This guy was a bouncer. Danny Aiello was a bouncer in a club. He was born and raised in a tenement apartment in a basement in Manhattan, poor, very poor. If you look at his Christmas album, I painted his Christmas album for him.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I did his Christmas album for him. I painted his son, and it was so spooky. It looked like him. He asked me to take it out. I wish I still had pictures of it. It's terrible. I don't.
He didn't like. He said to take it out.
But I did Danny Aiello's Christmas album, and Hudson Hawk was Dan Aiello's least favorite movie, and Danny asked me, Jimmy, what was your favorite movie I did? I said, well, Do the Right Thing, totally, but I also really like Danny Once Around. He goes, yeah, Jimmy.
I
He
like
goes,
the
it was,
Breakfast Club too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, no, I mean, Danny was a great actor. I'm talking about my favorite ones.
Mm-hmm.
Was Once Around with Richard Dreyfuss and Holly Hunter. And again, Danny
Oh,
was an actor. Danny was not
oh,
at
he
all a
did it like that.
mobster. Wasn't had anything to do with mobsters.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Um, well, another one with Big Jimmy. He touched the topics. It was great. And I don't know if it's your service, but you're looking a little shaky. But I don't think it'll look like that on the final thing. But it looks like a little blurry and stuff. But it's all good.
I look a little blurry.
Yeah, but
I'm sorry, buddy.
that's probably just to me on this screen. But Big Jimmy, any last words? This was another episode of Mob True Tales.
No, it was really a pleasure doing with you, Mook, and talking and hanging out with you. And I hope nobody has to experience the things I ever experienced. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions to my knowledge.
Okay, well, James, before we go, my boy James, he got a question. Why did things turn sour between Steven Seagal and Jules Lasso
Good question, man. James, good question. What happened was Jules became authoritarian, and Steven was an authoritarian. So they were bumping heads, and Steven Seagal's not a loyalist. So after they were falling out, and The Patriot did not do very well in the box office, of course, they were bickering back and forth. Oh, well, it's your fault. You did this, and this one did that. And then there was issues with money. And again, this was after Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers with Terry Semel wanted nothing to do with Steven. So it was really Steven and Jules. And of course, Steven happened to be in the company of Danny Provenzano. And Danny Provenzano whispered in his ear, we'll get a good deal. I'll do this. You can control the movie and you can redo the writing. That was right up Steven Seagal's alley. And then Jules took negativity towards that, especially about Steven and Danny Provenzano hooking up, that he wasn't allowing this. There's no way. You are not going to move out. And this is where Jules became a mobster instead of a movie producer and pharmacist.
Wow.
And that's the real reason why Jules Nasso and Steven Seagal segregated, because of that nonsense.
History, was he ever like a tough guy and stuff before he became a pharmacist or whatever?
No, he's a nerd. He's 5'2", man. He's a very smart guy. He's not a stupid guy. I don't hate him. I feel sorry for him, I should say, But what he did to me was wrong, and I was the only friend. He said that to me. You were the only true friend I ever had. But the minute I found out about his social gatherings and the people, I was like, see ya, hate to be ya, take care and brush your hair. And by the way, Jules, when I dropped him off in that restaurant, I was breaking up that story. He was sitting down with Sonny Saccone and Primo, and he was on tape, Jules, saying, I'll get you $150,000 a movie, Sonny, and he ain't leaving Hoboken. Jules and all the morons took a trip to Toronto when they were filming Exit Wounds and got on the same plane and took a trip together. I'm like, are these people out of their mind? Are these people out of their mind? They just showcased. They went to go talk to Steven Seagal while he was filming with DMX. I was there at the premiere. I met DMX. Very nice guy. DMX was very cool. He was very nice to me. But these are assholes. Bro, so stupid. Yeah. I'm sorry?
Nah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The carnage that they caused on themselves, their careers are over, Jules just won a prestigious award in Monte Carlo, long-term achievement filming and stuff, a bunch of bullshit. Like it was really like a. But he did a movie with a guy that I fought with, who was a martial artist, Tony Sheena. And Jules was introducing Tony Sheena as the next best thing. I was on the phone with Tony and said, Tony, the biggest mistake you're going to make, and this is Armand Desante was in the movie too. He also did a movie with Van Damme, Claude Van Damme. But Tony Sheena got involved with Jules Nasso on this latest movie with Master Kim, a karate master on Staten Island, which Master Kim put in quite a few $1 million to invest in the movie. Tony Sheena wrote it. It was a complete bomb. And the name of it was Darks, D-A-R-X, Dark. And this guy, and Jules, after that, that was it. Never did anything after that. Of course, no major production is going to hook up with him, you know.
If it's a bomb, I won't be looking it up.
No, you could look it up and look at the movie. You'll see Jules Nasso Productions, Armand Desante, Tony Sheena. Was in London with all these people.
So why didn't you kick Steven Seagal's ass?
I'm sorry?
Why didn't you beat him up?
I never fought Steven. I'm not afraid of Steven because I know I fought Aikido guys and I know their tactics, you know, but I don't fight like that, you know. I could counter his kicks. I can counter his hand control. You know, I just don't think I'd be able to get in on his vitals or tap his vitals, you know. Well, Tony Sheena, I was fighting Tony Sheena, and my karate is very whimsical. So I'm doing all this, and I opened him up. Boom! I kicked him right in the diaphragm because he showed no control, and he kicked me in my eye and gave me a black eye. So I got pissed. I could have opened him up because he takes a solid stance, you know. And I said, you know, Tony, you have no control. But that's when Jules was training him to be, you know, Tony, what an egotistical shithead this guy was, literally going, this is my destiny. He's a South African, tall guy, good-looking guy. Girls loved him, you know, lives in London. This is my destiny. And I went, yeah, Tony, you could be the next James Bond. You know, really, you know, I noticed the cockiness of all these people, especially even mobsters. They look at themselves as they have this power and control. The only time they would have power and control, you know, bro?
Yeah.
But other than that,
I was saying allegedly about the Steven Seagal, but my boy James Hudson got something to say. He said Portia de Rossi, I don't know her, made allegations against Steven Seagal. Why has he been able to get away with all that?
Because he pays them off. James, he offers them money. You know how many times I was involved in those affairs? Because a lot of stuff was coming out of Segal Nasso, where Jules and lawyers were infiltrating that. That's why, James, because, hey, you shut your mouth and I'll give you $75,000. Hey, be quiet and here's 50 grand cash. Of course, man. Yeah, of course. These allegations are not untrue. Of course they're true. And they're allegations because they weren't proven in court. But if you look at the settlements state the facts, James. He paid them off, period. I know an 18-year-old girl, a Brazilian princess, he did a number on her and then shipped her back because she was under legal age. He's an animal. And I don't give a shit. Screw that guy. He knows. Steven Seagal knows damn well who he is. And I can actually, because he did accuse me of that, I think the statutes of limitations have gone, but maybe I should have sued him. Maybe I should have done it. You know?
Yeah, that was terrible. You should have sued his ass, trying to accuse you of being a mobster.
Bro, accusing me of being a hitman for the Gambino crime family? Bro, you know what? that's beyond defamation of character, man. That's just, these people, they're not taking my life anymore. It's not happening.
Sure. Big Jimmy. And there you have it. Mild Tales. We'll see y'all next week. Peace and love to everybody. We good, Jimmy?
Peace. Peace.